WGR Sports Radio 550. It's time to take a look inside high school sports. Now, here's your host, Tony Caligiuri. Brought to you by Mighty Taco. Mighty Taco would go great right about now.
All right, I'll take 3 beef, bean, and cheese burritos. Hot sauce, sour cream.
Developing solutions to neurological problems faced in our community.
Good morning, welcome to Inside High School Sports. I'm your host, Tony Caligiuri. Francis Beck, Roger Weiss, Tom Prince, and Dick Gallagher, and Marcel Marqual in studio. We're going to talk high school football today. Can you believe that?
We got a stowaway.
Stow, how do you get in here? I like the Dunkin' Donuts hat. But you didn't bring the donuts. What's up with that, Quell?
This one's free, the donut's not.
All right.
Morning,
Tony,
Anthony. Morning, Tom, Dick, Francis, Markel. Special hello to DK on the other side of the
Derek Kramer
partition.
producing.
Morning, y'all.
And Happy New Year. Season starts in 2 days.
Yeah, I guess you could call it a happy New
It's
Year.
not New Year, it's not Jewish New Year. It's what, Football New Year?
Football New Year, yeah.
So I guess the Lions Club All-Star game, that would be like New Year's Eve?
Yeah, I guess we can call it that, sure.
Just checking, hey, we got to get all these details down straight. We have to be consistent.
Yeah, I look forward to football just like everybody else, but at the same time, I cringe because summer's over. You know, and no, I like summer too much. I really do.
You just got DK all messed up now. You know that, don't you?
I know it is, but it's so difficult to let go of summer. You know, there's so much to do, and you know, all the fairs going on, and Bill's preseason football going on. I'm like, oh man, where's summer go? I'm supposed to enjoy it somewhere along the line, but
And Monday's the first day for practices
yeah.
for this year's high school football season.
And hopefully, many out there who are playing listen to the coaches and put in the work in the off season. Because if you didn't, odds are you might not be playing much.
Anthony, only 10 more days to get to the fair to have a pierogi, apple pierogi a la mode at Papcha's.
That sounds so good.
Monday, $2 day. All the stands have something for only $2.
Is Cowboy Cal there? Do you know?
Sounds familiar.
It's like one of the best brisket sandwiches I've ever had.
They have this one brisket there. It's supposed to be. Somebody says it's $13, but you can't finish it.
Oh, I can. Bring it. Let me try.
Most normal human beings can't finish it.
I'm a human chipper shredder. I'll go after it. Or the bacon bomb that I had last year. That was amazing.
Bacon and Italian sausage, you like that, huh?
Oh, and there's something else in it. I think that had brisket or pulled pork or both, and all that barbecue sauce, and oh, that's some
Right
good
across
stuff.
from the grandstands when you go in for the grandstand show.
Now you're really making me hungry. We have, you know, our intro that gets me hungry. Now talking about the fair, but anyway, we're going to talk about high school football. The season is upon us, and we bring Dick Gallagher in every year. It's always a pleasure to have you in here, Dick, and your knowledge of high school football just amazes me every year. And I look forward to our conversations. And we're going to do a 3-part series this year. We're going to start off with Monsignor Martin, and we're going to get into Section 6, D, and we'll talk about that. I think right now, the news that's hitting the week that's hit this week is Coaching change at Hutch Tech. Tony Treluzio, familiar face, is taking over that program. Of course, many of you remember Tony was coach at Riverside for many years, coached at North Tonawanda, and then most recently offensive coordinator with the ECC Cats. So he's going over to Hutch Tech. McKinley is in the process of looking for a new coach. Kind of late in the year to be going through this process. Dick, I have to ask you this: does this hurt these two programs making changes so close to the start of the season?
Big time, but I think there'll be 17 changes in head coaches this year, which is the most ever. And some of that's attributed that coaches are just reaching a time of 2 or 3 years and leaving. But if you take a look at the old days with the dinosaurs that were around 35 years, and they were all outstanding, whether it be the Harvard Cup, Monsignor Martin, or Section 6. Now, going into 2018, I think about 64% of the head coaches, head football coaches of the 71 teams will have less than 5 years experience as a head coach.
That can't be good for you want to build a program. You need stability, I would think.
It's not good, and then of those 16 or 17, 4 of them are returning. Eric Jancy at North Tonawanda, Chuck Tilley at Eden, or at Frontier, used to coach at Eden and Tonawanda, and, there's two others that are returning. But when you take a look at it, I don't think it's healthy, but there's a driving force for a lot of this, and it's the parents. And the parents are totally out of control. They're trying to make sure that they're the ones that the school board hears, the administration hears, to the detriment of a lot of coaches who are outstanding, who do an excellent job. And unfortunately then, the next thing you know, they're out of employment. Why? Because of parents making it too rough and also telling stuff that's not even true.
Well, we have the tail wagging the dog scenario going on, and we had Kurt Fisher in studio, and we talked to him about it. Here you have one of the most successful high school coaches, wins 2 state championships, and the parents essentially forced him out of Maple Grove. Now he's going over to Chautauqua Lake.
Right, and he has 221 wins, plus several sectional championships, league championships, 2 state championships, and you'd think he'd be an icon in Maple Grove.
You would think.
Et cetera. But his 2 children, Zach, and I don't know the
Megan.
girl's name.
Megan's her name.
Megan, were getting bullied. And whoever was doing that, and whether that was coming from the parents or the kids or whatever, it caused Kurt, to leave. When you look at what Kurt Fisher did when they had media day, and he was having hernia surgery. 3 days later, and I've had 3 hernia surgeries, and 3 days later, I wasn't walking. He was on the sidelines at Maple Grove, winning another sectional championship,
I remember.
and just doing a fantastic job. And for them down in Maple Grove in the area, to treat his family the way that they were being treated and caused him to leave, doesn't make any sense.
No, it's not right at all.
And as an underdog, as Maple Grove there too.
Oh,
So not only that, you're coming as an underdog, making sure your team is fully prepared, ready to go to win a game like that. Unbelievable.
2 years he did it. He did that against Bennett, and he did that against Franklinville, Evil Frank.
You watch
Franklinville.
You watch Maple Grove play under Kurt Fisher, and I remember being on the sidelines. I remember talking with all these guys about like, wow, look at the job they're doing. Everybody knows their assignments. You never see the kids with their heads down. Just the way they played, it passes the eye test when you watch them.
and he's had tremendous talent, but the coaching that he brought out in his leadership capacity was awesome, and he was just fun to watch, and now it'll be interesting to see, what he will bring to Chautauqua Lake.
He has had talent, but like on these aforementioned games, I don't think he had the talent on his team that Franklinville, Elkinville had that last year, and I definitely don't think he had the talent that against Bennett 2 or 3 years ago at
at the
All high
stadium.
stadium.
No, that Bennett team was a good team.
They were
Yeah, they had-
They
loaded,
were loaded.
guys, their second and third running backs would have probably been Conley Cup finalists on any other team in Western New York, but they were behind Isaiah McDuffie.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, tremendous coach, but we're seeing this turnaround like this, and like I said, it can't be good for building a program
It's not
when you're
good for-
constantly turning over. You have to have some stability.
We talked to Aubrey Lloyd, McKinley, obviously we talked about Brian Hiller resigned. Micah Harris is taking over in the interim, but apparently a lot of people have put in for that McKinley job. It's posted for 10 days, so hopefully they'll have some stability at that position for McKinley.
And
And
then-
Hushcheck too.
And then you see the chatter online, I believe on our Facebook page as well. And who was it? Eileen Buckley wrote a column.
Yeah, from NPR.
Yeah, for NPR, and it was well written, and I gave her a like on that. That you have the unions, you know, a deal with the teachers union in the school district that you have to be a teacher in order to coach. And she points out, you can't have the science teacher who decides, yeah, I want to coach football, and taking over the program, but not knowing enough. You wouldn't reverse it. You wouldn't say, you know, the gym teacher or the football coach, just because has tenure, you know what, I think I want to teach science and not know as much about the subject. You can't have that.
Well, the scary part about this is most districts have usually a deadline for when you can apply for your fall jobs, for your winter sports jobs. And you would think by now the deadline would be far past. I mean, 5 days before the season. Coach Trujillo, we talked about, you know, we know he's a good coach, but just the timing of it is just kind of tough for the kids, and they're battling a lot. Hopefully, they can come to a resolution.
You
Well,
would
somebody
think-
can bring it together, it's Tony.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a fantastic person, you know, Harvard Cup Hall of Fame member,
Three-time Harvard Cup champion
Champion.
at Riverside.
you know, he's
Oh, it's not about Tony, we're not,
No.
this isn't
Yeah,
about
this is
Tony.
not him. Yeah,
No.
it's about.
it's the process, it's the rules that are in place. So, I mean, you know, you have to kind of decide what's important. Do you want the right people coaching your team, or do you want teachers and I'm not taking anything with, there's a lot of teachers that are former football players, and they know them. That's great. If you can find that person, plug them in.
But wouldn't
But
you want somebody settled in by the time the 7-on-7s
Yeah.
start?
by the time off-season
I mean, if you're gonna
program
do-
By the
starts,
time May
If you're gonna
hits,
do the 7-on-7s,
sure.
don't you wanna do it with the coach that's gonna be coaching the team the following
yeah,
season?
because they're gonna be running your plays.
Yeah.
Hello?
So, it's like going back to square one, you know, in the second week of August. It's
Yeah, the timing is not good.
terrible. Timing's
So-
terrible, not good as a compliment, it's terrible.
I'm being nice. I'm trying to be nice here. You know, so hopefully they're able to straighten things out, and, you know, I completely disagree with the you have to be a teacher to coach. I think that's garbage. But it is what it is, and you have to move on. If you want change, you have to initiate the change. All right, let's get into talking about this upcoming season. I mean, we've gone through the new coaches. We have school districts with new fields, and that's really exciting because some of these fields are gorgeous. You guys see the pictures that Dan Kaplan posted of Cheektowagas? It looks nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, a lot of things to be excited about in this upcoming season. So I figured we'll start out previewing Monsignor Martin. All right, Dick, tell us who's going to be the king of Monsignor Martin.
Well, 2018 is a big change for Monsignor Martin football. They are now into two leagues, League A and B. League A has the three big ones, St. Francis, Canisius, and St. Joe's. League B has Cardinal O'Hara, St. Mary's, and Timon. And in addition to that, they also have a running clock rule now, which is if the differential is 35 points in a game, automatically the clock keeps running.
So if you go out of bounds, running back goes out of bounds, the clock doesn't stop,
No.
it'll keep going.
No, it keeps going. And the reason for that is, I think primarily related to what transpired with Canisius and Timon last year. Canisius was winning 40-0. They were just dynamite against the Tigers, who were really struggling and didn't win a game all last year. At halftime, my understanding is the coaches at Canisius approached the coaches at Timon and said, we need to do the clock running, keep the clock running. Timon said, no, we're not gonna do that. So as a result, the final score, I think, was 60-0 or 60-6.
It may be in the it may have been in the 70s.
I wanna say 77-0, cause there was a comment about, some silly comment about,
Them
the
running
show
up.
was supposed to be 78-0, they only scored 70, some crazy thing like that. So, that seems to be, 77-0 seems to be.
But there was a lot of
back
flack
in my head.
related to that.
Sure, a lot of people were upset.
And also with the fans and the parents. So, we'll see how these new rules, but then when you take a look at it, whoever comes out of the A will win the championship as far as the League A. That'll be the representative of Monsignor Martin for a state championship. The teams in the B will not be able to compete for a state championship.
You won't
I think the
have a
big
crossover game, Dick? They won't cross over at all and have a crossover championship?
No,
Okay, so it's automatically you have to be in the A division to win.
right, and the only thing is, there's another stipulation, I believe, which each of the B schools had to play 2 of the A schools during the season.
How's that gonna work on playoff time? Is it gonna be like second and third plays a semi and then the final?
Yes.
At,
Yeah.
it's the Ralph,
Where-
still the Ralph to me, the Nerf. So will the Bees be able to play a similar situation where they would have a
Both of them.
final?
2 and 3 will play in the semi, and then in the final will be the winner of that game. playing-
Against the one.
So that would be a doubleheader then at the Ralph for the 2 championship games?
Yes.
I see.
Okay. I think the big question going in is how does Timon rebound? How does, what is Joey Licata able to do to right the ship there? I mean, he was put in a very difficult position last year.
Well, I understand, and I saw Joey at the All-Star game, that they have 30 to 35
That's good.
in a roster, which will really be healthy for them. And also, the schedule's not anywhere like it was last year when they really played some dynamite teams outside the area. So I think that they will be more competitive, and they're hanging in there. They have a low enrollment, I think, last year and also starting this year, but they're competing.
He's got a great coaching staff that he put together, so I imagine they've been working their butts off. Hopefully, the kids were able to get into the weight room in the off-season, get bigger, stronger, faster.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things right now is when you take a look at it, the teams in League A all have outstanding complexes. The teams in B, St. Mary's is decent, but Cardinal O'Hara is not good, either is Timon. If you take O'Hara this year, they've got 5 studs, 5 potential All-West New York players. But when you go into that complex, it is not good.
No, there's youth facilities that are better.
The seats are falling apart, the scoreboard doesn't work, et cetera, et cetera. And why is it that the 2 schools who serve many, many minorities are not being able to get monies from the diocese or monies whatever to be able to get new complexes? Why can't some of the monies in that $1 billion, $100 million fundraising event for the bishop, as well as selling his mansion, why can't some of that money go for capital projects in the schools?
Yeah, and why couldn't they keep Niagara Catholic afloat? It's the same, the
Same
same
thing.
answer.
But the response to that is, the diocese has a policy, they don't allow the funds to be used for capital projects in schools. So what you look at, St. Mary's, their first meeting this year had 8 players. They've got numbers problems. Timon last year had numbers problems. Years ago, there were 16 teams in Monsignor Martin, 2 different leagues. Now you have 6. In a few years, it could be 4. The only way that you're gonna be able to even survive is be able to get other areas, McQuaid, Aquinas, GBA in Syracuse, Long Island, to form a Catholic championship type of schedule, and then be able to play for state championships, et cetera.
But if you're McQuaid Aquinas or all these in section 5, why would you leave section 5? Why would you want to?
You can dominate there. You're facing public schools. It'd be like Canisius facing, Orchard Park. Or any of these AA schools every year.
Well, no, I think that's the point he's saying, is right now they've got a chance to go compete for a state championship in the public schools. Same with CBA out of Syracuse. Why would I leave that format to go
Exactly.
to this thing? It's not gonna happen unless, there was talk last year, Dick, if I'm correct, that the sections we're gonna start looking at, was there gonna be a push to push some of those schools out of the
Well, I
section?
know Section 5 wants to push Aquinas out.
But with the deals that were signed, as long as they were signed to go, they're kinda deadlocked and they can't do anything to push them out.
Every school that went to court to try to get the Catholics out lost. And this was several over years. So now it's like, well, it is what it is. But then when you look at it, look at Aquinas' schedule. They're playing very few public schools during the course of the regular season. And why? Because Rochester schools don't wanna play them. If you had a vote today, there wouldn't be one Catholic school in a public ability to play for a state championship, mainly just because it was bad.
All right, guys, let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue to take a look at Monsignor Martin, and then a little bit later on, we'll look at Class D in Section 6. You're listening to Inside High School Sports on WGR Sports Radio 550. back. You're listening to Inside High School Sports. Tony Caligiuri along with Francis Beck and Tom Prince from Western New York Athletics. Dick Gallagher's here. Roger Weiss. Markwell Slaughter in the house. Derek Kramer producing. We're talking high school football, which means we're a bunch of happy campers here. All right, before the break, we were talking about Monsignor Martin, and I guess we kind of should get into, got through the off-season stuff. Let's talk about the teams. What do they look like, Dick?
Well, Canisius has dominated in recent years, and
I've heard that.
That's been obvious. And they've got 10 starters returning, and they have a couple of studs, Joe Jamison, Joel Nicholas, Ben Shanley, who's 6'4", 260, lineman, Tristan Vandenberg, who's a tight end kicker. He's already got a scholarship.
That's right.
So-
Continuing the long line of successful kickers
Kicker
coming out
high.
of Canisius.
And
And
then
now
you-
they have big kickers too.
Yeah.
They're small guys, they're all big linemen.
Well, that's what Blake Hellwell is at Ohio State. And he's now, if you look at a picture of him, it's like nothing looked like when he was a senior at Canisius. He's built up, he's 6'5", whatever, his weight, but he's kicking. And they gotta determine whether he's gonna be redshirted this year or be kicking field goals. But that's good. And then the quarterback position for Canisius now has turned into a competition, according to Rich Robbins, the coach. Jack Brandon is one, Gabe Fisher, and then everyone I think has read recently during the past week, the transfer from Ontario, Ottawa, Canada, is going to Canisius, and he's Christian, and I have
Veju?
you.
Vejas, that's what Hopkins, coach.
Deja vu?
Veja.
See that all over
I'm just
again.
gonna say all over again.
Veja, that was from Coach Hopkins over at Canisius. He sent me that. I looked at some film on him. He's got a similar skill set to Jace Johnson, I thought, when I saw good arm. He can run surprisingly well. He has a good arm too. So I think he's gonna be comparable to what Jace Johnson brought to that team.
He's 6'3", 170, he's only a junior. He's already got 5 scholarship offers. Michigan, Rutgers, Temple, UB, I think there's one other. So when you look at the attention that he's gonna bring to Western New York football, that's good for everyone.
Sure.
So regardless of who it is or what team it is, it's good. It'll be interesting to see what transpires with Canisius camp, and then when they play Western New York Maritime first game, who will be at the quarterback position.
I also wanted to point out they have a transfer coming in from Grand Island on the line, Donovan Cornelius. Big kid. He started for the Vikings, I believe as a freshman on their varsity. He's now at Canisius too.
We have a lot of, this year, I think, quarterback position and line are so much greater than they've been in recent years. And particularly when you take a look at the quarterback position, there's 12 or 14 quarterbacks that are outstanding. And Cole
Snyder.
Cole Snyder?
Colt Snyder has already received a scholarship from Rutgers, and he'll be going there. It'll be interesting to see how the other quarterbacks make out. And I think the only junior, besides a couple that I mentioned, Jack Brandon and Christian, is Connors Desiderio
Yeah.
from Maryville. And they're loaded. They're going to be very competitive.
Well, what you see is the dedication to the off-season programs, the 7-on-7s, going to various camps and clinics. So it's not surprising to see that many, considering the amount of attention that's being placed on offense these days.
Yeah. St. Joe's is going to be competitive. They've
Well,
lost-
there's the big question mark there, is that St. Joe's losing Kelly.
Well, there's two parts with that. You're losing Casey Kelly to go down to North Carolina and play, and you also lose Jaden Lofton, the running back, who's not gonna be back with the program. But I watched 7-on-7 with Clarence and St. Joe's last week. Micah Brown is a stud. He's can run, pass, and he's gonna provide leadership and give him actually, to me, more athleticism than Casey. So that could be a bonus for St. Joe's. The strength of St. Joe's is gonna be their line. They've got 2 kids already given scholarships. Cole Gambino is going to Stony Brook. He's 6'2", 280. He's known as the Pancake Man. And you have Tyler, excuse me.
It's not what you think, Anthony.
6'5", 290, benches 300, throws a discus and shot. He's with UB.
I've mentioned this before. I've watched film on him doing individual workouts. His technique is outstanding. His way he controls his body, getting leverage, getting underneath the way that they're teaching now. I mean, your techniques for blocking have changed just dramatically over the last 5 years, and he's implementing that very well. I like what I see.
When you look at Tyler, automatically you say Division I, just mainly just because he is a Division I player, just based the way his strength is, his other assets. The other lineman, Will McDonald, 6'6", 300. So when you take a look at that line that St. Joe's has, they're only gonna need a crease. And if you get Micah, along with a couple of other kids, they could do some damage this year. They're gonna be playing Canisius in the 5th week of the season. They've lost, I think, 9 straight games to Canisius. The game's gonna be at the Marauders, and I wouldn't be surprised if St. Joe's was able to beat them. But then when you take a look at what's transpiring with the transfers, that adds another dimension, because Cornelius is a tremendous asset, as well as the other transfers.
I think I actually saw the Canisius Joe's game is gonna be back at New Era Field this year. I could be wrong, but I believe I saw that.
So what?
At New Era Field at the stadium.
Yeah, that was, I think, a 2-year contract that the private schools had with the Bills.
With Pagula's
Last year-
entertainment.
Last year was one, this year, so I'm assuming that they're gonna have the same games. The one question mark relates to Spectrum. The Spectrum last year did a Friday night football game, plus 4 other Friday night games that they streamed. And they've given a schedule to Section 6, 2 games, which I don't know, and I'll find out next week. But then they're gonna wait. But right now, Spectrum, the only high school sports that, my understanding, they're going to do are televised is football. Last year, they were supposed to televise the state championship in wrestling. They had the Chiron on. You can only do that with their permission. They just failed to do it. Never showed up to do it, so.
Let's talk about some of the studs that we have.
Quick question, Anthony.
Go ahead, Raj.
Oh, no, we never did news and notes, and I would have brought it up. Did
Oh,
you
yeah,
see-
that's right, the beast.
Did you see who else is going to play football at Stony Brook this year?
No.
Tyrone Wheatley's transferring from Michigan.
That's right.
Really? I didn't see that.
Yeah, they didn't exactly put it on the headlines and on there, if you don't
But
peruse
isn't
the
his
news.
dad still coaching at Michigan?
No, he's down, I forget where he is now, in Carolina or someplace. I don't think his father's at Michigan anymore, coaching.
His father is at Jacksonville,
Yes, that's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jaguars.
That was the other thing I was gonna bring
He's
up on
running
news and
back.
notes, but don't worry about the other item, it's no big deal.
That's huge.
Yeah, I just, I was, what? You know, cause I thought, that you talk about the studs that came out of Western New York, I thought he was at the top of the list.
All right, let's get into talking about, because we're starting to get pressed against time here.
St. Francis is gonna be strong, they're returning 18 starters. Jake Ritz, sophomore quarterback, he's gonna be excellent. Riley Miller, Dawson Tiger is really versatile. Eric Shawn, who's I think 6'3", 6'4", 290, and then Xavier.
And he's one of the running backs.
Jan Zizek came on strong. They're gonna be competitive. And I think Jerry Smith has a camp that goes from 8 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. And then
They put the work in.
He'll have those kids ready. Excuse me. And I mentioned Cardinal O'Hara. Stephen Boyd, 6'3", 300, 95 GPA. He's got some schools looking at him now.
That's outstanding.
Ramir Velazquez, the tackling machine, awesome. He's hurt last year. Justin Hemphill, who's an outstanding athlete, plays basketball. Quantrell Moss, and Conklin Masters a quarterback. Conklin's got 100 GPA, so, you know, that,
Wow.
not bad for a quarterback to have 100.
Tony and I had 100 GPA if you had our two GPAs together.
All 4 years.
All 5 years.
Keep in mind, Stephen Boyd was named underclassman Trench Trophy of the year too. So he's a big boy, and he's certainly getting some looks.
Wow.
Yeah, Time and St. Jude, they're, for the 2 games, they're playing St. Joe's and St. Francis. Mitchell Thiel, Connor Dean, Luke McMahon, just a few players, but as Tom mentioned, they've got some athletes, they're gonna be much more competitive than last year. St. Mary's, I think they got issues related to numbers now, but they've got some decent players, Sean Nelson, Zach Ratcliffe, Tom Moss. C.J. Oslin's outstanding defensive lineman is gonna be a linebacker. He transferred from St. Mary's to Canisius. And also to Jay Perry, who was outstanding offensive for St. Mary's, transferred to Bennett. So St. Mary's lost their 2 best players for going into this year.
It's the same to me, like you know, high school football's turned into the NFL with free agency. Well, after the year, I'm going to weigh my options and see where I can go for a better deal. I mean, is this thing like that, Tom?
Tony, is this not what Dick started off by saying, the parents' involvement?
Yes.
You don't think that's what's coming into play, saying is, I want my kid over here because they're going to get more playing time over here, or I don't like what this coach said, or I don't like what this coach did. It's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, that coach yelled at me. I mean, we need a transaction section now for high school football.
There's one transfer that this will be his 3rd school. He's only a junior. 3rd school in 3 years. Now, the parents don't understand. When they're thinking their kid's gonna get recruited and they're looking and they're going to 3 or 4 schools in high school, guess what? That's a red flag to drive right by the school, not even talk to the kid because of what the parents are gonna bring negatively to that collegiate program.
I'm just blown away. I really am.
Different generation.
What is happening?
Well,
Well,
you
you
know,
know, it used to be
we've
in
already
that day.
discussed that off, off air as far as the way some of these parents are. It's gotten out of control. It really has. But I'll tell you one of the themes, if you listen to some of the things that Dick has been talking about here, that I would take away. One is you've named at least 10 people alone that could be up for the Trench Trophy just in Monsignor Martin alone, right? Just as we've been sitting here, think of some of those weights and linemen that we talked about. 300 pounds, 326, 5, 6, 6. We haven't heard that in years around here. That probably has been one of the biggest issues out there within Western New York, is we haven't had those serious linemen. We also have the kid from, not North Tonawanda, Newport, right?
Yeah, Joe Powers.
Joe Powers, another lineman. Like, they're all over the place this year. That Trench Trophy may be one of the most competitive years that we've seen in a long time. And then you look at the top 3 teams here. Yes, I 100% agree with Dick. You got to give Canisius the edge just because of what they've done year over year. But I'm going to tell you, do not count Jerry Smith out on what he's done at St. Francis.
Bingo.
And I'm going to tell you, I've seen St. Joe's also. This team is legit. They will be right there fighting for this. This could be where one team beats the other and the other team beats the other team, and you're going to see it comes down to the stadium where you don't know who's going to win that Monsignor Martin.
It's exciting.
Well, the 2nd and 3rd game out of it could be qualified for the game of the year, whoever gets the bye. The other 2 teams are very capable of whoever wins that game knocking off the team that drew the bye at the the Nerf.
You know, and here's the thing, like, okay, you've got these programs, they're building. That's great for the fans, because that's gonna put people in the seats and bring some revenue to the schools. I think this is fantastic.
No doubt. This is going to be a fun season so
But
far, you're hearing.
the transferring is an issue, and that's kind of bugging me right now.
The quality of the players. We have a few that are Division I already. I wouldn't be surprised if we had several more.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll jump into Section 6, Class D. Only down to 4 teams? Wow. All right. Sports Talk Saturday is after us, so make sure you're going to keep here. A lot of Bills news and notes to go over with the guys. You're listening to Inside High School Sports on WGR Sports Radio 550. Inside High School Sports, we're previewing the upcoming high school season. When this news came out when I was home recovering from surgery, that we were down to 4 D schools. I had to do a double take. Wait a minute, where'd they all go?
The New York State Public Athletic Association dropped the ball on this because they know, with all the paperwork that they received, what the enrollment's gonna be. And so then when they're looking at it, and all of a sudden they come up, this is the enrollment's gonna be, and you're gonna have to adhere to that. Then you're opening, in whatever month, next thing you know, there's 4 teams in D. No, you call Albany, there's gotta be a mistake. You call Ken Stolt, the Section 6 Federation Chairman, no, it's not. So what you have is you have some of the teams playing each other twice, like Maple Grove and Clymer, Sherman, and Panama are playing each other twice.
I thought they were all playing I thought they were playing a double round robin, home and home,
Yeah.
in Class D.
Well, yeah, that's 6 games there, and you still have 2 non-leaguers. So I mean, but yeah, so a double round home and away is still only 6 games.
So they
You still
have
have
2
two extra
non-leaguers
games.
because all 4 teams make the playoffs anyway, so they're literally playing a double round robin to see who's the 1st seed, 2nd seed, 3rd seed, and 4th seed.
The 4 will play, in the semis, and then the championship will be
At
you know,
the
at
Nerf.
the stadium, as it always has been. But I think what this done is throwing up a flag for everyone, that they have to do a better job. Because what you look at it, and I know we'll be talking about this in the next couple of weeks, is you have 3 leagues in B, that's been like that for the last few years. In A, you have 3 leagues. You take a look at how the leagues are compiled, you have some leagues that there are 4 teams that are really studs. And given the competition in that league, you're gonna wind up with maybe a weaker league team being able to make the playoffs. And I know Roger has had this as an issue for several years, so it'll be interesting to see how this plays out this year.
The 4th place team, regardless of how good they are, cannot qualify for a playoff. Top 3 seeds are whoever finished first in each of the respective leagues. 4th, 5th, and 6th seed are whoever finished second in the respective leagues, and again, with that miserable tiebreaker, which infuriates me. And then the 2 of the top 3 3rd place teams get the 7th and 8th seed for the right to play an away game at the 1st or 2nd seed. And like I say, I don't know why they don't go to 2 9-team divisions. Granted, you can't play a full balanced schedule, but still, I think it's a lot better for some of these strong teams that are gonna end up in the wrong, and it's not even geographic, they're gonna do it by
Ben's numbers, yeah.
bad numbers, so, for example, in Class C, Cleve Hill could end up playing 3 games down south.
Let's take a look at the 4 teams, Dick.
Just, Maple Grove got a new coach, Justin Hannaf, Hanft, and they've got a few studs. Easton Tanner is be a 3-year starter at the quarterback and safety position. Tate Jones is a tackling machine. Zach Hendrick. It'll be interesting to see how going from Kurt Fisher to a new coach, the dynamics of everything that's happened. But then CSP, Ty Harper's done an excellent job down there. They've got Garrett Hinsdale, who's only a junior, outstanding quarterback, Derek Edwin, Cameron Barmore, but they'll be competitive. Salamanca was 5-4 last year, which was a major improvement for them. They've got a couple of studs, Ira John and Tyler Headland, and then Cattaraugus Little Valley only had 2 wins last year, Nick Burrows and Brody Heil. But you take a look at it, to me, it's either CSP, Clymer, Sherman, and Panama, and Maple Grove are the 2 that should be in the championship game. Maple Grove's been in the championship game 7 consecutive years.
Anthony, don't get illusions of grandeur, CSP is not cheese, sausage, and pepperoni.
Yeah, I was sitting here drooling, I'm thinking, wow, that sounds great for dinner today. But you had to go and ruin it for me by telling me
Dick,
it's,
do you think this is the first upset year where Maple Grove will get upset this year? Is that how strong CSP is this year?
CSP has got 13 starters back. They had a 6-3 record last year. Most of the starters are back, well, they're starters. They're all play multiple positions, and Ty Harper's done a good job. So when you take a look at it, it'll be interesting to see all the dynamics, because you got Kurt Fisher on the other sideline. And we say a lot of these coaches are leaving now. you're on the sideline for 20 years, guess what? You learn a lot more than the guy who's a freshman coach, first-year coach, making the right decisions, calling the right place, et cetera.
I don't know if it's, the only, loss that I can think of is the big guy that was a finalist for the Trench Trophy. If there are other losses from CSP. I'm not
Tanner
aware of.
Ramsey's gone.
You-
But, you know, you talked about that quarterback Hinsdale. I've been told that he's been working a lot this summer, more than he ever has in his life. And he's been with a lot of coaches, so I expect to see him to have a huge improvement. Kid, I saw film on him. You know, he was only a sophomore starting his first year. He looked like a senior 3-year starter. He had so comfortable in the pocket, great poise.
Well, again, that comes down to what I said earlier about getting kids involved in the camps, the clinics. You know, there's so many out there. You know, Joey Licata does, works with quarterbacks. So if you're a parent or a coach and you think that, well, you know, my son has good size, got good arm strength, let's get him into these camps and clinics, let's hone his skills and make better players. Just as Tom was talking about now, we're seeing the influx of the big guys on the line, but we're seeing more skill added to the quarterback position, and that just benefits Western New York.
You get out of something what you put into it. If the kids and the coaches don't put it into it, and that going from A to Z, everything, covering all the bases, line camps, our camps for the linemen, 7-on-7, et cetera. Then when you start to play in the regular season, guess what? You're not gonna be in the playoffs.
Wait a minute, you mean if I play Fortnite all the time and I don't work out and I don't run, I can't make all Western New York? I mean, come on, this is not fair. I
What's
want to
Fortnite?
play my PlayStation.
You just
What's
described
Fortnite?
me at my age.
What, playing at PlayStation?
Fortnite.
Anthony, where do all the years go? We're talking about Joey Licata having camps and all this. You know, at the Ken Lyons All-Star Game, every time I walk into Will South, all I can still think of was the night Casey Cass played against Joey Licata and that foot. Remember that game, Dick? That was a game for the Classics. What, about 11 touchdown passes later, the game was finally over? And now Joey Licata is one of the mentors.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for this week's edition of Inside High School Sports. Next week, these gentlemen will return, and we're going to get into, C's and then get up to B, work our way up to double A's, get you up to speed as to what to look forward to, not to mention talk about key matchups to see, and a lot to do as far as getting ready for our high school football season.
I hope when you were saying gentlemen, you don't include me in that insult.
Oh, I absolutely am, Raj. Even though
He
you're
called me a
wearing-
name, Dick. See what I have to, he called me a gentleman. What did I do to deserve that?
Even despite the fact that you're wearing a Kensington shirt today, we're still calling you a gentleman. Thank you, guys. We'll talk to you guys next week with more Inside High School Sports.